What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Cork Stats Freaky Friday edition, powered by the Mayo Media Net here on YouTube and presented by Jock MKT, the daily fantasy app where we actually make money. And we even made a few friends while we're doing it. Download the app for free. You use the code MMN Mayo Media Net. They're going to match the first $100 for free. If it's free, it's for me. We're up in the jock market every single day making money. How about that for a novel idea? Doing exactly what we do. Me, you, and the Cork Stats crew. It's your host, Big Johnny Stud, baby. Follow me up on Twitter at MLB Moving Averages, at MLB Moving AVG on the Bird app. Man, we had Aaron Hicks yesterday. Yes, we did. And we have this kind of laser-focused individual split thing going on, and it is working, and the people are responding. I've seen tons of green screens, and I know people are playing Jock Market. Again, just having Aaron Hicks pretty much made you profitable yesterday. We were okay. Otherwise, Mountcastle did not return a profit, but Mancini did. A few of our guys did, and that's really how you do it. I think we really want to keep our portfolio narrow, right? Baseball offers us opportunities every single day, sometimes multiple slates. We'll get into that, and we'll just look at making profit. Again, if you're new to Jock Market, we're going to give you the names, we're going to give you the prices, and I think we're really just not chasing chalk, and I think that's what it's all about. We've seen now with the ball starting to move, players can hit home runs and not return a profit, and I think that's all we needed to see. We pretty much have a cap. I think it actually works, right? The 666, right? Remember the Wayne's World baseball, it's the leprechaun, so we want to probably cap at 666. Let's call it that. I absolutely love that. Well, listen, some guys, like if you can get judged for a touch above it, you'll make exceptions. But let's call 666 the cutoff mark. So the $100 is more than enough to make some noise. I've seen some people talking about, wow, I'm up like 70% in the last couple weeks. I can't believe it. Yeah, that's what happens when you make 5%, 8%. And it doesn't look like anything, but this is a profitable venture. Man, I wish I could say the same for the betting. We've been around even. It's been up and down, but I guess that's the nature of betting. This probably means it's an edge. That's what an edge is. All right, so let's get into it. We're doing the 3 pillars of profit here at Cork Stats and Mayo Media Net. For the audio-only listeners, please rate, review, and subscribe. Press that thumbs up button, like and comment and all that stuff. People are actually doing it, which I love. Tag Pat Mayo himself. Tag Mayo Media Net on social media. I love it. I know he loves to see it. I mean, he built this brand on interaction and genuine people and a genuine following. And again, if you're following this work, I really only think it takes about 10 minutes to see. You can't fake this kind of funk. And now we're really going to bring the heat. 115 off the crack of the bat as always before we get out of here for the week. And guess what? We got a new graphic. That's right, man. We're always kind of stepping it up. I've been trying to make a bit of an amalgamation from my sheet that I was doing that I don't always get to. I know there's a lot going on in this show, but it's also early in the day. We have weather, we have lineups, and all things that are changing. You follow me on Twitter, but I've been doing VSiN appearances regularly. It's very tough for me to get everything out. I'm at the point where I pretty much need a staff. So I want to try and get as much of it out in the meantime, and then have people, again, audio-only listeners. I have graphics. If you can get over to YouTube and grab a screenshot, you can. If not, tag me on Twitter. I'll post them. The same thing for the entire applied team totals and the starting pitcher ranks and all the other stuff we're bringing to you every single day. I mean, we run the algo, score the games. If you're sticking around with me and Mayo Media Net, you are just on top of it all. Fantasy, betting, and DFS, the 3 pillars of profit here at Cork Stats. Let's dive up into the stack attack. First up, it's Los Tigres, the Detroit Tigers, 8 Mile up against Berrios. Yes, he's off a really good start. We've seen, I think, the light bulbs start to go off a bit. Splits are really starting to matter, home and road, and I think it's because of the ball, which really makes sense because we've talked about the handling of it. This is not conspiratorial. This is data-backed, but also anecdotal from the people talking about it. And I think we've seen a ton of that. And now it's enough to not say we just go after everything all in, but let's really keep an eye on this because we know that, meaning the ball in Toronto and Berrios' home is X. I can't tell you what it is, but it's X because it's consistent. And on the road, it's inconsistent. And if pitchers are relying on grip, it actually leads to intuition, right? That would make sense. And if we start to see it materialize, which we have, what you're talking about, Big Johnny, It's a 5.42 ERA, 1.4 whip on the season. Remember, right now, it's all about splits, in my opinion. 3 ERA at home, a 7.28 ERA on the road for Joe Berry's 9% swing and strike rate on the season, paired with a 90% in-zone contact rate, 43 fly ball, plus 48 hard hit, plus 13 barrel on the year, equals the more than 2 home runs per 9 we've seen on the road. He's particularly struggled with lefties, 8.19 expected slug to lefties with 4 home runs year to date on the fastball. I'm looking at Harold Castro, 862 OPS against righties, his last 55 plate appearances. We've mentioned him on the fantasy show. I hope you added him. He's played his way into an everyday role. He's been awesome. 17% barrel, 13% blast against right-handed fastballs year to date. Talk about context up in the piece here, man. Where else you getting this stuff at the crack of dawn, baby? Plus, Austin Meadows with a 13% barrel rate on the year versus fastballs. His number's not as impressive, and that's where I want to get at where you see the star rating, right? So the bomb is the highest rating I could give. I actually had a Castro ring for a home run today, although I'm not really playing home run props, but depending on the price, right? So Castro is the kind of player who might have a home run prop at 450, 500 or above, where we want to be. I do not pay for home runs ever at 300 or below. I'd much rather look for total base props. So if you see a bomb or 2 stars, that's a total base prop if it's plus money, right? So we always want to be setting parameters. I never want to send you out into the wild. And remember, more plays does not mean more money risk. It just means less money risked per play. It's very important. I am playing every single thing that I recommend. You see me up at Jock Market, I always have betting tickets, okay? It's very important to me that we're going to lose at points, but it's very important to me that people are not getting into trouble. It's very important. Once you've set what you can risk, that is what you can risk regardless of the amount of action that you take. All right, let's get back into it. So Harold Castro getting the highest rating, Austin Meadows with the 2 stars because I think I saw like a plus 135. So keep an eye on the total base prop for Meadows. Now that I think about it with the other stats, I kind of wish maybe that was 1 star. If I revise later on, again, follow me on Twitter or on Patreon, but all that stuff is free. Next up, it's that same game. We're looking at Blue Jay bats against the other Erod 2.0, Elvin Rodriguez, with a 10.13 ERA, 1.7 whip, and plus 1,000 OPS on the year, 10% walk rate, 52 fly ball, and a better than 12% barrel has equaled what class? More than 3 home runs per 9. Hachi Machi Liberace. That'll land you on a midnight bust to Tuscaloosa. But it's been an even split. 3 home runs to lefties, 3 home runs to righties. I checked in to the Arsenal splits. It's just been a bad fastball to both sides, plus 700 X slug on that fastball with a single-digit whiff rate. Yikes, that's not going to do it. So we're looking for guys on Toronto that hit fastballs from righties. Let's get at it. It's Matt Chapman first off. 19% barrel, 14% blast with a better than 1,000 OPS last 35 plate appearances against righties. So you see Chapman again with the bomb. You can get with him with the total base prop for sure. Next up, Teoscar Hernandez, better than a 1,000 OPS, last 40-plus plate appearances, 16 barrel, 16 blast against fastballs. Get with him. Springer also on the list, 13 barrel, 10 blast, but the more recent production has not been there. So that's where the single star comes in, and we're talking about Jock Market, right? If you're familiar with the Patreon sheets, you've seen the stars have like a $1 rating, right? So the bomb will take us up to the 666. Let's say the 2 stars is probably a 550 centered, going up 575, and the single star is more like a 450, 475. If Springer gets above $5, I'm not going to go there. I'd rather focus on the cheaper players. And back to that point, I know we've had players succeed like that, and I think that's a very good way for the newbies, right? Look at these players, put them all on the favorite list in Jock Market, and once we're getting close to the IPO, just sort by price and look for everybody that's under $4.75, let's say. Because automatically, if you bring on the model, I think you're a $5 player. So even $5, and remember, you also, on top of that, made lots of learning going on today. You could set a $5 order early in the day. The only reason I don't like to do that is not so much if they're not in the lineup, because if they're not in the lineup, they won't go for more than $1, and you'll get that $1 back. It may cost you a cent or 2 per share. It's more like weather at the last minute, and if things get played up, bought up the shares, and then they get canceled, you could eat that. So that's the reason you want to be careful early. But if you do put a $5 bid, it is a limit order. If it closes at 3, you get the extra money back. So no worries there. Next up, we're going back to Baltimore. Man, it kind of stunk yesterday. I had Baltimore to win. And that was a home split. See, I actually thought it was more of a park environment thing, right? Kansas City being like a good pitching park, and it wasn't. So Jordan Lyles with extreme splits. I thought it was, again, pitching parks, and it wasn't. It was home road. He got lit up. So, again, I keep ending up on this same thing. So we're not going all in blind, but the data is continuing to validate it. We're going to probably look back and say we were the first on this. I mean, whatever. We kind of get used to it when you roll with us. That's just what people are doing here, right? I mean, it's not for this handsome face. So we're looking at Baltimore lefties against John Heasley. He's been pretty rough. 4.6 ERA, not as bad as you'd think from the guys being generally circled here, but 1.7 whip, 8.10 OPS. Remember, 3 points on a line. Any 2 points make a line. The third one, no. So whipping ERA doesn't always mean much. Add in OPS, that'll tell you the truth. And the reason is a 15% walk rate. How about a negative K minus walk, 44 hard hit, 24 line drive, which you know matters a lot this year, is a plus 400 expected WOBA. Year to date, plus 1100 OPS to lefties. Oh my goodness. On the fastball, plus 900 X slug and 4 home runs. So we're looking at Cedric Mullins in particular, plus 400 X WOBA, 13 barrel, 8 blast against right-handed fastballs. And Santander has been pretty good with a double-digit barrel rate so far on the year against fastball righties as well. I am dumb, and I didn't copy and paste that second name Santander. This says Austin Meadows for the video people. Sorry, it's my first go around and always make a mistake, and I'm very sorry, but I cannot go back and do it again. But maybe I'll Photoshop it over and I'll laugh at myself. Gosh, man, live TV. Such is what it is. All right, last stack. Remember, I did mention split slate. I'm just trying to be on top of everything, all things to all people. But if all you're playing is DFS, and I am playing winner take all these guys are DFS viable, which is why you see that last name on the list, Bobby Dalbec, in the last slate, because we're always looking for some price relief. Hat tip to my boy JP Perlazzo, who put me on to that term. Boston righties versus Marco Gonzalez. I'm not buying what he's selling with the 3.5 ERA. That's Fugazi. 1.34 whip, 750 OPS, 7% K minus walk to 90% in zone contact rate, nearly 2 home runs per 9 and 8 home runs to righties. But he's really struggled with lefties, which is weird. Again, not always do splits materialize in opposite-handed. We've mentioned this. Sometimes it's a matter of break, an issue, again, with the ball in particular. So I think you got to be looking for, I put cheap Devers in quotes. Now, he has a plus 1,000 OPS against lefties last 40 plate appearances. But I don't want to pay up for it, because it is a shorter slate, and if he gets up again about into that $7 range, no thank you. But if people are thinking lefty and not into it, we'll circle Devers. If not, we're certainly looking for J.D. Martinez, Xander Bogaerts, and Trevor Story, all but the 1,000 OPS against lefties lately. They're killing it, and Dalbec has been good as of late, not just pumping them because I liked him coming into the season. All right, so we got to giddy up a little bit. Onto the fantasy side, the Friday show, it was not really happening. It really wasn't happening for all the work I was putting in, and we really weren't getting enough juice for all that squeeze. So I think today we just want to talk about the state of fantasy right now. Spend 5 minutes or so just talking about fantasy in general. It has to do with a lot of the changes that we've seen, and sometimes maybe it is right that first Bueller quote, right, to stop and kind of smell the roses, right, make sure we don't miss what's going on. So I think we've seen a pretty definitive change. And it's not in the ball, it's in the weather and the way that's impacted the ball because of the use of the humidor, and more so because of the inconsistent use in the way it's handled, I should say, in the inconsistent handling of the ball and how that matters so much. And maybe this will be the feather in the cap, right? And this is the lesson. I don't know if everyone has heard, but it really is important. And this comes from my past life when I was a commercial electrician. Shout out to all my local 3. All my union laborers out there, earning living wages, earning the weekend for everybody, man. Yeah, you're mad at unions, could be mad about the weekend then. So, I love that for the people who brought you the weekend. But in that past life, I learned some lessons, right? Now, I always wanted to be productive. You could probably tell that. I like to get out of the box every single day and be productive. It's the best way to assure a productive day. Remember, you always want your boss living on the biggest house on the highest hill, because the money comes down. Get paid, earn, and get paid, make money always. And we'd always try and do one last thing before you go, right? So as a commercial electrician, right, you get set up for the next day. You can't maybe hang something. Again, I did real commercial work. We're talking 165,000 kVA bus loops, like building, you could probably tell, right, I'm a maniac. Top of skyscrapers, building drawbridges. Like, I was not into, pulling wire indoors. Like, I was outside in manholes, building the subway during emergency stuff, Sandy emergency repair, really heavy duty heavy duty kind of stuff, I really like to think that I helped. After Sandy in New York City broke down, we tried to get it back. But this stuff matters, right? So before we left, we tried to do one more thing, and I know I'm going around, but it's worth it, right? And we mark, you mark holes where you want to hang the next thing the next day, and that could be incredibly helpful. However, depending on the weather, you get the next day and you put the thing up, and the holes don't match up. The weather matters. Physics matter. Like earth science is real. For all the stuff we learned growing up, it doesn't matter. I can't believe how much stuff I remember from like 8th grade earth science, because it matters when you talk about condensation and expansion of metal. It is the reason for so many things that confuse people. It really is. So the way that applies to baseball now you can see is, it's not just that the humidor is affecting the ball in itself. And again, it's not just humidor is offense, because humidors bring equilibrium, right? So if it was humid, it will dry it. And if it is dry, it will add humidity, right? So that's really the thing. We're looking for the balls in the humid air and not the other way around. Although we also heard, well, here's a double feather right here. And if my boy Zach Waxman, you've heard me mention before, right now he's putting out some really impactful stuff, and it matters to people that care. His last podcast episode with Rudy Gamble is phenomenal, and if you really care about like the underpinnings of projections and how to use stuff, it matters. And Rudy mentioned wind and how it's impacted certain stadiums very much. And that, again, this is part of it, right? So this kind of weather puzzle that's being put together in real time. We're building a boat in the middle of the ocean, so we're going to make some mistakes, but we should be paying attention to data validation and not so much married to the past. And I think that's why I've been able to stay on top of it, right? I think, again, at the Athletic, colleague of mine just put out how like pitching stats matter more recently. Well, I've been saying that for years, you know what I mean? And not like in a but I've been saying that for years, and nobody listened because I'm a nobody, which is fine. But I've been saying that, and I've been trying to data back that the best I can. I'm also limited because I'm stupid. So back to the point with the ball and why this matters is, so it's weather impacting humidity, the use of the humidor, and the inconsistent handling. And now to wrap this up, again, you know me, we're not just making stuff up here. We're not just throwing stuff at the wall. It's legit. You had players and front office people, or staff people, I should say, talk about how the handling's inconsistent, and like you'd expect, the Yankees, of course, are paying for a room that is, hermetically sealed and taking care of the ball and keeping it a certain way, because they're gonna do that. And then other teams that are cheaper, like Oakland or the Rockies or whatever, are putting them in a potato sack and throwing them in the corner where nobody cares about them in between after it came out of the humidor. So that's one of the effects that we're having trouble with. Major League Baseball's trying to balance the effect. I know we're blaming them because they are stupid and they are mishandling it, and if they were hiring smart people like myself, they'd be on top of the fact that the material matters, right? So all these stories all at once and all this stuff, I hopefully tied it in together for you, how these things matter and the things that we will be looking at, why the home splits matter. It's like, home split, we chase Fangraph stats. It's just not how it works. More to it than that, right? So splits are not always cross because of pitch movement, and home road now because of ball handling, right? So we're not guessing, we're inferring because it's data back. So hopefully that was pretty cool and you learned something about it. What we're doing right now in fantasy and then to fantasy itself is swings and misses have never been more important, right? We're back to that. The contact pitchers that we're not getting swing and misses are not probably going to continue to be any good. So believe it or not, a guy like Paul Blackburn does get whiffs on that sinker, so I think he'll be okay. But we've seen some other contact guys get beat up, and that's why I was going with Marco Gonzalez. So I think hopefully we're tying all this stuff in together. That's the first two pillars of profits. We did a whole bunch of daily stacks with a new graphic and a little fantasy stuff. Maybe Friday, maybe that's what we'll do, is just kind of take a breath and go, I was trying to do all this, that every team with every lineup and every platoon. I'll be honest, I caught it myself, and if you're interested in that, I'd really love to promote my friends Casey Bubba and Ryan Bloomy from HQ, Bloomfield of HQ are doing a Bubba and the Bloom podcast. So check out Bubba on Twitter, BD Entrick, ENTREK, and they did an excellent job with what I was doing, but they did better because they were taking longer to do it. And I think that's important, right? So we want to be self-aware. Here's a double feather again. I'm self-auditing our own work, right? Just because you're working hard doesn't mean you're going anywhere. And it has to be productive. So I was working super hard. It wasn't productive. I was getting what I needed somewhere else, and hopefully brought you something that you can't get anywhere else that's really going to impact you. And I hope that's really what you appreciate here. And I think that earned the like button. If you really dug that, you're not getting that kind of stuff anywhere else, which I know you're really not because it doesn't exist. Press the like button, please. I can't believe how much this matters. We're in this algorithmically driven metric world where everything matters. And it's like, you have not enough likes and not enough views, and you're done. And it's like, oh my God, but people love this stuff, and then you be gone, and the reaction is like, doesn't meet the, interaction of what was going on. So let's get into the last one. Let's turn this betting thing around. Let's turn the bets around. All right, we're starting to mix it up a little bit. I don't know. I hope it doesn't come off scrambled. But again, the most important thing to me, I'd rather come off scrambled than lose people money. Right, so the reason that it's hard for me to plant such a flag is it's so early. I mentioned weather and things mattering more than ever, win data being noisy, something Rudy mentioned again on the podcast with Zach. It matters, and that matters particularly with totals. So yeah, I highlight them as hits. These are model hits. My model I believe in. So when people say, would you take these? Yes, I absolutely believe in these. And now we're only doing pricing that matters. If you notice here, the audio-only listeners, I'm going to walk you through it, but the people that see the graphics, you see it's split now because we have some totals. On the bottom, we have some total base props. And total base props, if you follow my NFL betting, the reason that was so successful is because we take on so many underdogs. Now, if you take in total base props and you get two underdogs, in particular, a plus 125, now both of these are not, but if you do get them, and a lot of them are, and you hit one, you're on path to really be great, right? Again, most people are looking to double, triple, and quadruple every single day. That's just not what you get here. Our losses are small. A lot of times our wins are small. And then when we hit the parlays and have the big days and have the big weeks, that's when we really pump forward. And that's kind of when we accelerate our risk and try and lean into the winning. Again, hopefully stuff you're learning here and how I am able to stay in the game even when I lose. Because it's not like I bet all the time because I never lose or have an infinite amount of money. I will admit I have a well-funded operation, but I think I've pretty much drawn up. You could bet my system with $1,000 to start. It's very hard with $100 because you really need some fractional betting, and I know places have minimums, especially on props and stuff and parlays and stuff. They don't want people like us micro betting and housing them. That's pretty much the reason why. You'll even notice this to DraftKings that they don't supply all the F5 bets in the same place. They don't want you to have the information. Like, think about why. There should be 3 boxes always. We're very familiar with this. Run line, money line, and the over-under. DraftKings, a $1 jillion operation with a super awesome interface that's mega fast, has 2 separate pages. One with the run line and the total, and then a separate page with just the money line. That makes absolutely no sense. They don't want you hip to F5 betting. They don't want you seeing the price discrepancy because people like me have been calculating spreads with dollars and now are becoming more popular because we are smart, and the other people that sell no-run first-inning parlays to idiots are stupid and lose. I mean, listen, whatever. They're kind of losing is the kind of losing that ends you up with a dead account because there's no accountability and there's no process there. It's just long, odd parlays, no model backing, whatever. All right, let's get into this. Let's handicap it really quick before we get out of here. Have an awesome weekend. I hope you really enjoyed the show today. This is the stuff I really enjoy doing, more than anything is nobody cares about tomorrow's breakdown. It's more about, what have we learned? What about the inputs, right? If we're talking about caring about the inputs and the stats, why are we not caring about the input, our own work, our own self? That's what matters more than anything. So a lot of the analysis we went through already, because they're games we've covered. So the first one on the board, I have Toronto and Detroit F5-0, 4.5. Would not be surprised if this one went to 5. We mentioned the struggles of Barrios on the road and Elvin Rodriguez. The Toronto offense is crazy hot right now. They could supply us with the 5 on their own. But if Barrios gives up the 2-run shot that I expect, or Castro yokes him even for 1, we're probably going to get this one. So give us that total, but we're going to keep an eye on the weather. So I'm trying to answer all questions for all people because I guess I'm popular because my DMs start to go off. I'd rather people tag me so I could share the information with everybody, but you guys, people know me well enough to know that I'm going to answer your DMs and talk to you forever, and we'll become friends, and that's just how I do it, man. I really dedicate myself to this. It means a lot to me that what we're building here, sticks, and it means more than, again, just the game breakdowns or some bet at the end of the day. All right, next up we got Cincinnati Reds. Love seeing my boy Castillo pitching the way that he has been lately. I think the way that he started has kind of soured people on him. Although the ERA has begun to drop, the underpinnings of Luis Garcia are fantastic, exactly what we hope for, plus 50% ground ball, the 5% barrel, 314 expected WOBA, crushing righties. Everyone's really struggling. He looks fantastic against St. Louis and Palante, who I never really heard of before. You see the 11% walk rate. I know the Cardinals offense is okay, but for 15 outs, we're going against the Rook. So give me Cincinnati at plus money for the F5, and if you're okay with the juice, this would be a spot where I think it's okay to pay the juice to get the plus run there. Although I haven't lately, I'm just taking it. Cincinnati is kind of hitting, so I'll go with that. Then I have the two total base props over 1.5. They're both at plus money. We mentioned them both already. No need to break it down. If you skip to the end, you'll have to go back to the beginning and check it out because we really already laid it out. It's Harold Castro and Teoscar Hernandez, both going over 1.5. And also, I have a site that will let us parlay them. And I've been kind of I'll take all of our hits and kind of parlay them for the minimum and see, because you never know. And those are always fun as well. Some guys have a single base parlay that is very hard to get. I think Matt Chapman did. So I wanted Chapman on this list, but Chapman had a single base parlay and it was juiced up to like minus 170. Yeah, I think he for sure he gets it. I don't bet that, but if you do bet that kind of stuff, I think that's a certainty as well. So I think that'll do it, everybody. Man, we're over the 25-minute mark. I normally like to get out of here by then, but I won't see you for 2 days. So hopefully you enjoy the show. Please download the Jock Market app. Use the code MMN. Get that free $100. Check us out today. Use the names that we gave you. Harold Castro, I'm sure, will be extremely cheap. Really cross my fingers. It depends on how popular we are. It's funny. I'm actually driving up the prices for ourselves, and we're still beating the market. Remember, inherent leverage. That price is our own. In DraftKings, you don't own the price. The authorities determine price, and the public must deal with that, and it doesn't move. In Jock Market, right, demand moves prices. So if somebody's cheap, it's somebody we want. And the last thing is, whenever we have an over, backfill into those games in both daily play for winner take all DraftKings and in Jock Market. So anybody in that game, if there's a sub $4 player, those at-bats are worth it. I've noticed that as well. I'll circle back at the last few minutes and backfill with that. So sorry to run on, but this stuff matters and we're making money, and that's why we're making money, because we actually care and put in the extra work. So that'll do it from the big dude with the big mouth, from the Big Apple, big Johnny Stud and Mayo Media Net. Tag Pat Mayo at the PME on Twitter. Tag Pat Mayo. Get up in the comments, hit the like button. Pretty pleased with sugar on top. I'll see you on Monday. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the games. Enjoy your day. When we're done with the book, enjoy that pay, everybody. Yo, our check is on the flip side, and when you work this hard, it feels a lot less like luck, yo.